This is not for everyone. This message has been specifically encoded with a spiritual frequency that will only resonate with a particular soul. If you have ever felt like you are carrying a weight that is not entirely your own, if you have ever been gripped by a deep, unexplainable sadness for a past you never lived, or if you feel a relentless pull toward a future that seems impossible given your history, then stop scrolling. Do not treat this as just another video in your feed. This is a divine summons. It is a message that has traveled across time and generations to find you, right here, right now. You are the answer to prayers that were whispered in desperation by ancestors whose names you may never know. You are the physical manifestation of dreams that were born in hearts long since turned to dust. The burdens they were forced to carry, the silence they were compelled to keep, the dreams they had to bury. All of it was part of a sacred, divine plan to clear the path for you. You were called to finish the war they could only begin. You are on the verge of understanding the true, staggering weight of your purpose, and heaven is about to confirm that you have been chosen to rewrite the very history of your bloodline. You are not merely living for yourself. You are a vessel carrying the culmination of an entire bloodline's hopes, struggles, and prayers. And this is the message heaven wants to deliver to you today. Your ancestors are watching, and they are overwhelmingly proud. They are proud because you are doing what they could not. You are speaking where they were silenced. You are healing where they were broken. You are rising where they were bound. And because of your courage, your obedience, and your sheer spiritual tenacity, ancient chains are shattering. Generational curses are reversing in real time. And a new, glorious legacy is being rewritten through the ink of your life. We are about to embark on a deep journey into this truth, exploring it through 7 sacred chapters that will illuminate your past, confirm your present, and unlock your future. Welcome to Chosen Pathways, a sanctuary for souls who carry generational purpose. Before we dive into the heart of this divine revelation, I ask you to take a moment to anchor yourself to this spiritual frequency. Like this message, if you feel its truth in your spirit, share it with another soul you know is on a similar journey. And most importantly, subscribe to this channel. This is more than content. It is a divine confirmation, a spiritual wellspring for the chosen ones who are carrying the weight and the glory of their lineage. To all who have supported this ministry, your faith, your presence, and your spiritual hunger are seen, honored, and felt so deeply. Your belief creates a sacred space for these truths to emerge. May God bless you beyond measure for your partnership in this work. If your spirit knows, deep down, that this message is for you, I want you to make a powerful declaration in the comments right now. Type the number 777. This is not a random number. It is a divine signal. It is a coded message to heaven and to the great cloud of witnesses that you accept your assignment. It signifies that you are ready to complete the work your ancestors started, ready to walk in a level of spiritual authority they never had access to, and ready to carry the mantle they cried out for but could not fully possess. Not everyone will have the spiritual stamina to stay until the end of this message, but those who do will unlock profound revelation, initiate deep ancestral healing, and gain crystal clarity about the sacred weight you have been carrying. It was never just your trauma, it was your legacy calling out to you. This is not a video you listen to once. This is a spiritual download, a living scroll that reveals itself layer by layer. Come back to it whenever your spirit pulls you, because every time you do, a deeper truth will unfold and a new layer of healing will commence. You are not just rising for yourself, you are restoring a lineage. You are not just chosen by God, you are remembered and championed by heaven and by every soul who came before you. Now, let us go deeper into the miracle your bloodline has been waiting for. Chapter 1. You were born for the breakthrough. Chosen one, take a slow, deep breath and let this truth permeate every cell of your being. Your existence is not a cosmic accident. You did not simply show up on this earth by chance. You were sent. You were strategically assigned. You were born with a divine purpose so potent that it was stitched into the very fabric of your soul long before you ever took your first breath. There is a reason your entire life has felt profoundly different. That persistent emotional weight you've carried, that constant inner tension and dissatisfaction with the status quo, the way you have always questioned the traditions and limitations that others blindly accepted, it was never just a personality quirk. It was prophecy stirring within you. You were born for the breakthrough. You carry a sacred mantle to shatter generational patterns, to tear down invisible spiritual strongholds, and to fundamentally shift the future trajectory of your entire bloodline. The very things that tormented your family for generations, the subtle but suffocating spirit of poverty, the cycles of addiction that claimed lives and dreams, the dark veil of secrecy that choked out intimacy and truth, the patterns of violence or emotional abuse, the deep-seated shame that was passed down like an unwanted heirloom. All of it met its divine expiration date the moment you were born. This is not because you are inherently better, more intelligent, or more worthy than those who came before you. It is because you were sent with a specific heavenly mandate to finish the spiritual work that they, for reasons beyond their control, could not. You have always felt a powerful inner resistance, a holy fire in your bones, a deep and unshakable knowing that something was fundamentally off. You knew that you could not continue living within the same cycles of pain and dysfunction. You felt, in your very soul, that the pain you inherited could not and would not continue through you. That profound awareness was not merely emotional, it was spiritual. It was the voice of your destiny rising up within you, refusing to let you settle for a life that was less than what God intended for your lineage. You felt different growing up because you were designed to be different. You were sent to walk a road that others in your family actively avoided. You were chosen to build a legacy of health, wealth, and wholeness when no one else in your family even had the blueprint. You were anointed by God to confront the very issues that were deliberately ignored, to speak about the secrets everyone agreed to keep silent about. And that is precisely why the enemy has tried to take you out from a young age. That is why the spiritual warfare against you has often been so intense and relentless. That is why people, even those who claim to love you, have so profoundly misunderstood you. They couldn't recognize the divine calling on your life because it challenged their comfort and their dysfunction. You were sent to challenge what they called normal, to disrupt the familiar chaos, and to carry out a spiritual reversal of such magnitude that it would affect generations to come. You may not have had the language for it before, but your entire life, every trial, every tear, every betrayal, every moment of isolation has been an intensive spiritual preparation for what you are about to step into. The pain you endured was not wasted. It was forging your character. The tears you cried were not ignored. They were watering the seeds of your destiny. The seasons you felt utterly and completely alone were sacred, because God was setting you apart for a work that is holy and high. You are not just a person in a family tree. You are a divine vessel through which God is releasing unprecedented healing, supernatural freedom, and glorious restoration into your bloodline. You did not come to this earth to repeat the cycles of the past. You came to break them. You did not come to blend in. You came to stand out and stand firm in your God-given identity. You did not come to settle for less. You came to rise and pull others up with you into a new reality. You were born to accomplish what others in your lineage did not have the tools, the time, the emotional capacity, or the spiritual freedom to do. Your ancestors tried. They fought battles in their own way. They planted seeds in fervent, desperate prayer, but the harvest was delayed for a future generation. Now, God is declaring that this is the generation where it all comes full circle, and He is doing it through you. Everything you have faced was not a punishment, it was preparation. You were not cursed, you were chosen. The immense pressure was not there to destroy you. It was there to awaken you to the giant slayer, the promise keeper, and the chain breaker that you truly are. You are the breaker in your family. You are the repairer of the breach. You are the one carrying a generational breakthrough inside your very being. And now, it is time to walk in it. It is time to own it. It is time to stop doubting your calling and start declaring with authority that you were born for this. And because of that declaration, the chains are falling, the patterns are breaking, the curse is reversing, and the story is shifting because the breaker has finally arrived. And that breaker, chosen one, is you. Chapter 2. Their silence taught you strength. Chosen one, the power you walk in is not solely your own. It is a layered, composite strength forged in the fires of generations past. You are walking in the silent, unyielding strength of those who came before you. Your ancestors carried entire worlds within them that the society of their time never allowed them to express. They carried dreams they could not pursue, wisdom they could not share, and divine callings they could not answer. This was not because they lacked purpose or courage, but because they lacked freedom. The era in which they lived, the cultural systems that bound them, and the oppressive forces they faced did not permit their full, brilliant light to shine. They were called to greatness, but were bound by forces far bigger than themselves: systemic fear, generational poverty, unprocessed trauma, and brutal injustice. They lived under cultural and religious systems that were designed to silence them long before they could ever fully speak their truth. They did not have the platforms you now have at your fingertips. They did not have the modern language for mental health and healing. They did not have the emotional or physical safety required to process their deep pain. So they buried it. They buried their grief, their anger, their hopes, and their visions, not because they wanted to, but because survival was their primary, God-given assignment. They could not afford to fight every battle. They did not possess the tools to break every chain. But they did the most important thing. They held on long enough to ensure the bloodline continued. They kept the story going, even as a faint whisper, so that one day, someone could pick it up. And now, you are the one with the voice, the platform, and the anointing to finish the sentence they were forced to leave incomplete. Their silence was not weakness. It was a profound and costly sacrifice. And now, that sacred silence has been transmuted into your strength. Every time you speak your truth with boldness, you give their unspoken pain a voice. Every time you choose the difficult path of healing over the easy path of bitterness, you redeem the very things that broke them. Every time you rise above a limitation they were crushed by, you carry their name with honor into new realms. You are not just strong, you are ancestrally equipped. The incredible resilience you find in your bones, that ability to get back up after being knocked down time and time again, did not come from nowhere. That inexplicable courage you have to confront the darkness that others avoid at all costs. It was forged through generations of quiet, unnamed warriors who fought battles in secret. The supernatural ability you have to carry immense burdens and still walk forward with grace was shaped by men and women who learned to smile through their suffering and pray through their heartbreak. Their silence became the fertile soil, and you are the precious seed they planted in faith, watered with their tears, and prayed over with their last breath. And you grew. Against all odds, against all negative predictions, against all demonic opposition, you grew. You are the living, breathing proof that what they could not say still found a way to be heard. Through you, in you, and as you. Every time you break a generational curse of lack, you retroactively break the chains of poverty that bound them. Every time you take a single step in authentic freedom, you spiritually release them into a realm of peace they never knew on earth. They are not just watching you from a distance, they are rising with you. Their spirits are vindicated through your victory because you are the continuation of a story that was never, ever supposed to end in pain. Their unheard cries did not simply vanish into the ether. They transformed into your divine calling. Their limitations did not stop your destiny. They launched you into it. The doors that were closed to them did not cancel the mission. It simply meant the baton had to be passed. That inner strength you feel surging within you when you know you should have given up long ago, that is the legacy of your ancestors moving through your very veins. That persistent whisper in your spirit that tells you not to quit, to hold on for one more day, that is the echo of every grandmother who was never allowed to speak her mind, of every grandfather who died with a brilliant vision still locked in his heart. They poured everything they had, every ounce of their hope, into getting you here. And now, you are walking in the reality of what they could only dream of. Chosen one, Never, ever forget this. Your strength did not start with you. It was inherited. It was layered. It was built over centuries of trial and triumph. And now, it is alive and active in you. And every single time you choose to rise, they rise with you. Chapter 3. You broke the agreement with limitation. Chosen one. Some of the most powerful and history-altering shifts do not happen in loud, dramatic moments of public declaration. They occur in the quiet, unseen sanctuary of the human heart, in quiet decisions, in hidden prayers, and in silent, stubborn refusals. And this was one of them. At a pivotal moment in your journey, you broke the unwritten, demonic agreement with limitation, and all of heaven, along with your entire ancestral line, saw it and celebrated. Your ancestors, so many of whom were strong, gifted, and brilliant, lived their entire lives within invisible lines. These were lines drawn by oppressive societal systems that told them what they could or could not be. They were lines etched deep into their consciousness by fear, by poverty, by shame, and by spiritual suppression. They were not failures. They were survivors of the highest order. They did what they had to do to get through, to make a way out of no way. Many of them were never given the tools or the opportunity to thrive. They were only taught how to endure. Some were indoctrinated with a theology that taught them lack was normal, that suffering was a sign of spirituality, and that certain forms of bondage were simply unavoidable fate. They stayed in broken homes, attended abusive churches, and worked in toxic environments, not because they wanted to, but because they had been convinced that they could not do any better. They didn't know that true deliverance was available to them. They didn't realize that the cage they were in had a door that was unlocked the whole time. They tragically thought the chains were a part of their identity. But then, a divine interruption occurred in the bloodline. That interruption was you. From a very early age, you noticed things that others ignored. You questioned the deafening family silence around certain topics. You resisted the familiar, comfortable dysfunction, even when you didn't have the words or the framework to explain why it felt so wrong. Something deep inside of you, the very Spirit of God, refused to co-sign the agreement with what everyone else in your life called normal. You saw a spirit of fear masquerading as practicality, and you challenged it with faith. You witnessed emotional manipulation disguised as love, and you refused to repeat the pattern. You were handed a cup of bitterness from past hurts, but you chose the difficult, cleansing cup of healing instead. You were taught limitation from the cradle, but your spirit relentlessly chose faith in an unlimited God. Your life, as a result, has not been easy. You have felt profoundly isolated, deeply misunderstood, and at times harshly judged by the very people you were born to set free. But what they called rebellion, heaven called obedience. What they labeled as pride, heaven recognized as the discovery of your true identity in Christ. What they complained about as you being too much, God celebrated as you being set apart for His glory. You have stood in the swirling vortex of generational cycles of dysfunction and declared with holy authority, "This ends now with me." You have faced the intimidating spirit of poverty and lack and said, "You are not crossing this line with me into my future." You have stared depression and anxiety in the face and boldly declared, "I may feel you, but I will not become you. You are not my name." You have watched spiritual warfare rise up against you like a flood, and you did not back down. You learned how to fight. You learned how to fast. You learned how to pray. You learned how to call on the armies of heaven, not just for your own breakthrough, but for the freedom of your entire bloodline. You chose to be the first in your family to go through the painful but liberating process of inner healing. You were the first to bravely walk away from dead, controlling religion and into a vibrant, personal relationship with God. You were the first to diligently study spiritual warfare and declare freedom in areas of your family that had long been held hostage by darkness. And in doing so, you shifted something permanent in the spirit realm. You did not make peace with the curse, you made war with it. You did not shake hands with the dysfunction, you dragged it into the light. You didn't just want to be free for yourself, you wanted the entire bloodline to be free. And God honored that selfless, holy desire. Heaven backed that righteous anger. and your ancestors felt that seismic shift in the heavens. Because the truth is, they always hoped someone would come along who could carry the weight they couldn't. They prayed someone would finally say the no that they were too afraid to say. They hoped someone would fight the battles they didn't even have the language for. That someone is you. You are not just chosen, you are divinely disruptive. You are a holy interruption to every demonic strategy that kept your lineage stuck and small. You are the prayer your ancestors whispered in secret. You are the breakthrough they longed for but could not reach. You are their redemption in motion. And because you broke the agreement with limitation, doors of opportunity are now opening. Supernatural healing is now flowing. Generational wealth, both spiritual and natural, is being released. Dormant spiritual mantles are being activated, and a new pattern of victory, honor, and freedom is being born. And it will bless those who come after you for 1,000 generations. Chapter 4. The Bloodline is being rewritten through you. Chosen one, you may not have fully realized the cosmic significance of your life's path at first, but it is a divine correction, a holy interruption, and a sacred assignment meticulously written by the hand of heaven before you were ever formed in your mother's womb. You didn't just come from your family, you were sent to your family. You were sent as a key, as a mirror, and as a door. You are the key to unlock the blessings, gifts, and callings that had been locked up and suppressed for generations. You are the mirror to reflect the truth of what needed to be faced, healed, and repented of. And you are the door to walk your entire bloodline out of a prison of the past and into a new, spacious realm of spiritual, emotional, and generational freedom. Every family on earth carries inherited patterns. They are invisible currents that pull people in certain directions, cycles of fear, suffocating silence, relational brokenness, chronic poverty, addictive behaviors, patterns of control and manipulation, and oceans of unspoken grief. Some of these destructive patterns stretch back so far into the mists of time that no one alive even remembers where or how they started. But you felt them. From a young age, you sensed their presence. You saw them play out in how people talked, in the topics they studiously avoided, in the unhealthy behaviors they normalized, and in the limiting beliefs they held as gospel truth. And something in your spirit, the resident Holy Spirit, rose up and said, "This is not how the story is meant to end." You were chosen to break that negative momentum. You were anointed to disrupt the familiar dysfunction. You were assigned to walk into the middle of the generational story and declare with divine authority, "The plot changes here. The ending is being rewritten." You were sent to re-establish spiritual authority in a bloodline that had been robbed of its voice, its power, and its inheritance. You are the one heaven trusted with the hard assignment of being the first. You are the one your ancestors desperately hoped would one day rise. You are the one with the God-given strength to face the demons they were forced to ignore. You are the certified curse breaker. You are the designated pattern changer. You are the anointed cycle interrupter. You are the first to courageously confront the family secrets that no one ever wanted to talk about. You may be the first to go to therapy and seek professional help for emotional healing, showing others that it is a sign of strength, not weakness. You are the first to stand and declare, "This trauma stops with me. It will not be passed to my children." You are the first to learn to fast and pray not just for material things, but for the deliverance of your entire lineage. You are the first to call out spiritual abuse and manipulation, refusing to stay silent for the sake of a false peace. You are the first to build something truly meaningful and lasting, not just financially, but spiritually. You are the first to parent with conscious purpose, to love without control, and to correct without shame. You are the first in your line to rise with clean hands and a fully healed heart. You have carried more weight than most people will ever know. It has not just been your own pain, but the spiritual and emotional residue of generations that came before you. You have cried prayers that felt ancient and primal. You have wrestled with emotions of rage, grief, and fear that you knew did not originate in your own life experiences. You have walked through desolate seasons that were not about you at all, but about what God was purging and healing through you for the sake of everyone connected to your name. Because of you, deep healing is now entering the family in places that were never touched before. Because of you, divine wisdom is being planted where only flawed survival tactics existed before. Because of you, a new language is being created in your family, a language that includes words like forgiveness, rest, restoration, purpose, and freedom. Because of you, the children being born into your lineage now will grow up under a different spiritual sky, an open heaven. Because of you, ancestral prayers are finally being answered, not just in this realm, but in the spiritual realm as well, bringing peace and release to those who have passed on. You are not just being blessed, you are being used as a conduit of blessing. You are not just receiving a breakthrough, you are becoming the breakthrough for many. And this is not by accident. It is because God saw something in you, a heart that could not be fully corrupted, no matter how much the enemy tried. God saw in you the strength to carry a true legacy, not the broken version passed down by pain, but the divine one written in the books of heaven. God is not just blessing you. He is blessing thousands through you, through your costly obedience, through your relentless prayers, and through your courageous decisions to do the hard, holy work of healing. Chapter 5. They protected you in the Spirit. Chosen one, the fact that you have survived what you've survived is no accident. You did not make it this far simply because you were resilient or strong-willed. You were protected. You were watched over. You were carried. You were shielded. And this protection did not always come from the people you could see in front of you, but from a great host behind you. Those whose names you may not know, those whose stories were never written down, those whose faces you have never seen. Your ancestors. You are standing on sacred ground, the kind that was tilled and prepared by hands you have never touched. You were covered in prayer long before you were even born, because somewhere deep in the history of your bloodline, someone began to whisper your future name in the Spirit. It was someone who knew they couldn't break the chains themselves, but they prayed with fervent faith that one day someone would. It was someone who sat in suffocating silence, holding unspeakable pain, but who dared to believe that one day their bloodline would be healed and made whole. They did not have access to the resources you have. No therapy, no podcasts, no books, no conferences, no open spaces for healing and confession. But they had God, and they cried out to Him from the depths of their souls. They may not have known how to fight their battles effectively in the natural realm, but in the unseen realm, they became mighty prayer warriors. Think of your great-grandmother who stayed up late into the night, whispering prayers for her descendants while the rest of the world was asleep. Think of your great-grandfather who may have been a man of few words, but who laid his hands on his children and asked God to protect his lineage from the evils he had seen. Think of the elder in your family who had dreams, visions, and prophetic stirrings, and though the world may have dismissed them as eccentric or foolish, heaven did not. Those prayers were not buried in the grave with them. They were planted like powerful, time-released seeds. They became spiritual shields of light that protected you from dangers you never even saw coming. The reason you made it through that season of deep depression and suicidal thoughts, the reason you didn't completely lose your mind during that intense period of spiritual warfare, the reason you were chosen, preserved, and sustained when by all accounts you should have been destroyed, it is because someone behind you was praying for someone ahead of them. That someone was you. Your life is covered in a holy oil, the kind that was poured out in secret by faithful, loving hearts who refused to let the flame of hope die out in your lineage. That protective oil runs through your very DNA. That is why doors of opportunity have opened for you that should have remained closed. That is why storms of destruction have passed over your house that should have swallowed you whole. You did not just come from a line of struggle. You came from a line of powerful intercession. You did not just come from brokenness. You came from people who stubbornly believed that redemption was possible, even if they would not live to see it themselves. They didn't pray for their descendants to be famous. They prayed for them to be free. They prayed for someone in the bloodline to be strong enough to face what they couldn't. For someone to become the living, breathing evidence that God heard their desperate cries. And now, chosen one, that someone is you. You are not walking this path alone. You are surrounded. You are encircled by a great cloud of witnesses who know exactly what you carry, because they carried a portion of it too, in silence and in pain. They just didn't have the voice or the space or the time to live it out fully. But they passed the mantle forward into your heart, into your bones, and into your anointing. You are not just living your own life. You are living the fulfilled longing of those who came before you. When you pray, their ancient prayers come alive and are amplified in the heavens. When you rise, they rejoice. When you break through, they are released into a new dimension of peace. That is why the enemy fights you with such ferocity. Because your breakthrough is not just about you. It's about completing something ancient, something sacred, something that started with a whisper generations ago and is now coming to a thunderous pass through your obedience, your worship, and your sacrifice. Chosen one, you are not just the answer to a present need. You are the manifestation of a timeless promise. And your ancestors, they see you. They are so incredibly proud. And they are still praying. Only now, they are praying from the other side of the veil. They are surrounding you with their joy, watching you walk in places they could only dream of. And every single step you take forward is a direct answer to the cries they once lifted up to heaven in secret. Chapter 6. Your success is their freedom. The chosen one, it is crucial that you understand this. Your victory is not an isolated event. It is an inherited one. Your success is not just personal, it is profoundly prophetic. It is not just about you reaching your goals and aspirations. It is about you breaking open the gates to realms of possibility that generations before you never even knew existed, let alone had the keys to. Your life's work is about finishing the beautiful stories that were left unwritten. It's about fulfilling the precious dreams that were spoken only in hushed whispers and then buried under the crushing weight of survival. You are not just rising for you. You are rising with them. When you rise, they rise. When you finally speak the truth, their long silence is redeemed. When you build something healthy and lasting, they are finally given the spiritual space to breathe in the realm of eternal rest. Every bold move you make, every courageous act of obedience, every single time you break a family pattern and choose unwavering faith over paralyzing fear, it echoes backward and forward through time. Your healing actually reaches backward into your lineage, bringing peace to their memory. Your boldness calls their names out of obscurity and into a place of honor. Your elevation lifts the heavy weight of failure and disappointment that so many of them died under. They may not have been free in their bodies, in their culture, or in their time, but your freedom today is their spiritual release. Your laughter is the sound of their redemption. Your clarity of purpose is their answered prayer. Your yes to God is heaven's ultimate response to centuries of oppression, limitation, and silence. You must see your life through this lens. You are not just making money. You are restoring dignity and honor to a bloodline that was robbed of it. You are not just starting a business. You are fulfilling a prophetic mantle of creativity and provision that was passed down through generations of struggle and suffering. You are not just changing your career. You are breaking your family out of the restrictive boxes that society tried to force your ancestors into. You are not just moving into a new season of blessing. You are bringing your entire bloodline with you into new spiritual territory. You are walking into rooms they were never allowed to enter. You are sitting at tables they were never invited to. You are receiving opportunities they never had access to, not because they lacked the talent or the brilliance, but because they lived in a world that never gave them a fair chance. And now, your very life is the irrefutable proof that they did not suffer for nothing. Their prayers were not wasted. Their tears became the anointing oil for your life. Their sacrifices turned into divine strategy for your success. Their limitations did not stop the lineage. They strengthened it and prepared it for you. Heaven doesn't just applaud your worldly success. The great cloud of witnesses celebrates your costly obedience. Every step forward you take is a moment of generational healing. Every breakthrough you experience is a moment of spiritual liberation for your entire family line. Every time you refuse to settle for less than what God has promised you, You are systematically undoing centuries of compromise born out of fear. You are not just a person with a calling. You are a divine bridge connecting what was to what will be. You are carrying them with you in your choices, in your faith, and in your resilience. They didn't get to finish the story, but they faithfully passed you the pen. And now, you are writing glorious new chapters that they will rejoice over for all of eternity. So do not be surprised when the warfare gets heavy as you approach a new level. It is because the freedom on the other side is real and magnificent. Do not be shocked when you feel the weight of 1,000 souls urging you forward. It is because they see the moment they have all been waiting for finally arriving through you. And never, ever underestimate what your simple, daily obedience is accomplishing in realms far beyond what your natural eyes can see. Chapter 7. The legacy now continues through you. Chosen one, the story does not end with you, but it takes a dramatic, glorious turn because of you. You have become the living, breathing proof that one single, obedient life can completely reroute the trajectory of an entire lineage. What began in your family's history with pain now continues in divine purpose. What started in suffocating silence is now being carried forward in anointed strength. What was planted in tears is now blooming vibrantly and beautifully through the garden of your life. This sacred responsibility is your mantle now. See it not as a burden, but as a blessing, not as heavy pressure, but as a divine partnership with God and your ancestors. God did not choose you to struggle endlessly. He chose you to complete what was started in generations past. You have now stepped into a legacy that is not written in earthly textbooks, but is inscribed in the eternal books of heaven. You may not have inherited money or land, but you inherited something infinitely more valuable, a spiritual assignment from the Most High God. A prophetic baton has been passed to you, and you are carrying it with wisdom, with dignity, and with a newfound authority. This legacy is not about worldly status or fame. It is about deep, authentic spiritual alignment with your Creator. It is not about doing more things. It is about becoming the person that no one else in your lineage had the courage, the language, the support, or the freedom to become. You have said yes to a calling that your bloodline was waiting centuries to see fulfilled. You have courageously chosen to interrupt the demonic flow of fear, poverty, abuse, shame, silence, and self-doubt. And in doing so, you have accomplished what many before you talked about but could not finish. You broke the pattern. Your personal story will not end in repeating cycles. You are the last one in your line who will have to carry the heavy burdens that were not yours to begin with. You are the first to walk in a kind of spiritual clarity and freedom that your ancestors could only have dreamed of. Your children, and your children's children, will not have to fight the same demons you fought. Your lineage will not inherit the same strongholds that you had to dismantle. You are the spiritual firewall. You are the divine interruption. You are the reason. You are the reason that generational curses finally shattered and generational blessings began to flow like a mighty river once again. This is not just an elevation. It is a full-scale restoration. It is redemption made manifest. And in the courts of heaven, your ancestors are not just watching. They are weeping with joy and relief. Because through you, the silence has been broken. Through you, their prayers have been fulfilled. Through you, the chains have been shattered. Their tears were not in vain because their desperate cries found a voice in you. Their passionate intercession found a home in your heart. Their enduring hope found a steady heartbeat in your chest. And that heartbeat is yours. You did what they couldn't. You became what they dreamed of. You walked through doors they never saw. You stood in a brilliant light they never had access to. You carried the mantles they were forced to bury. You rose when everything in your DNA and your past told you to stay hidden. You forgave when everything in your wounded soul told you to stay angry. You believed when nothing in your circumstances said it was possible. And because of your yes, your name is now being written into a legacy that will not be forgotten, not in heaven, not in history, and not in the spirit realm. You are heaven's proof that one life, fully surrendered to God, can set an entire bloodline free. This is the promise of chosen pathways. The journey is costly, but the inheritance is eternal. If this sacred message has resonated with the depths of your soul, subscribe now to continue this journey with a family of fellow legacy carriers. Your story is vital. Your breakthrough is here. Walk in the fullness of who you were always destined to be.